I think this battle for LA is definitely going to be the closest one, so I'm looking forward to it.
Hey guys, this is Adam from Akshon Esports, and today I'm speaking with Space, Flex Tank for the LA Valiant. Space, how are you feeling after your 4th straight victory of this stage?
It's been good. I think that last match was pretty close, whereas the other matches were much more convincing for us. So there's still a lot to work on as a team if we want to get to playoffs and make finals. So but I think the win has been pretty good.
Right on. Since the roster changes of Stage 3, Valiant has had a steady rate of improvement, culminating in you guys being undefeated for this stage. So what clicked for you guys? What got you to this point?
I think the mentality change really helped. We felt like our roster before in Stage 1 and Stage 2 tilted a little bit and lost track mentally, like where we were going as a team. Whereas with the addition of me and Custa, kind of focus more in practice and focus on teamwork and not really playing like as like a solo carry team, but more as like a selfless team that has every player that can carry.
So for a moment, I'd like to talk about your opponents for today, the Boston Uprising. They've been struggling this stage quite a bit, but they were really looking good on a couple of maps today. So do you think that they're kind of bouncing back?
Yeah, I think Boston is always going to be a good team. Mechanically, they have really strong players, but I felt like personally we kind of fell off in Dorado and in Oasis, whereas our communication wasn't on point and we weren't focusing as a team like we usually do. Whereas on Nepal, we picked that back up and got back on track. So I think Boston is like coming back, but I think we made a lot of mistakes.
For the bulk of this interview, I kind of want to talk about you stepping into the limelight during Stage 3 and stuff. So, because of your age, you were only able to join the active roster last stage. Between the start of the season and your birthday, people are kind of wondering what you were doing with the team that helped to make sure that that transition would be really smooth and comfortable for you.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, we had known that I wasn't going to play, so I usually just watched scrims at first, just to see what the meta was, you know, what I had to practice, and coming into the team, like, what I was going to do. I usually listened in to see how our communication was, you know, who kind of in-game led, who didn't talk as much, and, you know, where I could fill in that area. So that's, like, mainly what I focused on, and just I had to make sure that I was ready mechanically when the time comes that it's my time to play, that I was ready to play in the meta. And you know, I put a lot of work into that. Like coming up in that time, I grinded a lot more than I usually did. And you know, coming into the stage, I was nervous at first, but my teammates helped me, and now we're here. So I think it's been pretty good for me.
Did the other roster changes that came with Stage 3 kind of throw you for a curveball in your prep for stepping into the starting roster?
Yeah, it did, because Scott, or Custa, is also a really good in-game leader. So now we kind of have Fate and Scott who make calls. So that kind of changed where I was in the team. Like, at first it was kind of me that was a secondary caller, but I kind of stepped down and let Scott and Fate talk more, whereas I focus on positioning and ult tracking. So that was a big change for me, like that I had to get used to in Stage 3. You know, I had to realize that I'm not going to call as much and just focus on the game, and it's been pretty good for our team now that I stepped down like that.
Sure. So, I mean, you have some articulate guys, you know, in the starting roster now. So, I mean, what do those comms look like typically in game? I mean, is it a really loud, active comm system for you?
Mainly, yeah. There is a lot of talking. Mostly for me right now, it's just listening and making sure that I'm focused on the enemy's position and our position. So, during the times, like, Scott will call our compositions, like what we want to play and what they're playing, whereas Fate will call what we're doing in the game. You know, if we're gonna dive, if we're gonna peel. That's kind of like the split there. Whereas everyone else just listens and makes sure that they're in the right spot at the right time. So that's like where our comms have come to.
On a little bit of a lighter note, Valiant has probably the highest number of accents active in the comm channel. So I mean, you've got Canadian, American, Australian, French, and Korean.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that like? Does that affect your communication at all?
Yeah, sometimes. Like, there'll be times where I tell Kariv, like, oh, there's someone on your right, and he'll look to the left because he doesn't really know. So, like, there's like really little things that kind of mess us up, and, you know, Soon sometimes doesn't understand because he doesn't really speak English that often. But, like, I think those are really small things when you have such talented players because, you know, at the end of the day, they'll still play really well in game, and that's, like, stuff that we look back on and later. But as we progress as a team, you know, there's specific calls that we'll make in game to, you know, kind of break the language barrier. And I mean, I assume that's something you're actively working on. I mean, it's obviously not a huge barrier. You guys are being successful, but in order to, you know, min-max as the competition gets higher,
I mean, are there any kind of specific, I mean, we've heard like Houston comms where they have keywords that cut through all the jargon and stuff. Is that something like you're trying to
that's
implement?
Something we're trying to work on, yeah.
What do you feel like you've personally contributed to your team's current level of improvement since you've joined?
I think communication. You know, I like to talk a lot. On my old teams, I was always like head shot caller, so I kind of know how to shot call. But on this team, I don't do it as much. So I just focus on our positioning and their positioning, and like it takes the ease off everybody else. Whereas, you know, our head shot caller and our composition shot caller, they don't have to focus on like positioning and focus on ult tracking if I'm doing it myself. So it kind of balances out the team as a whole, I feel like. And I think keeping everybody's mentality in check, you know, making sure that the morale is high, and we're going to close out the games in the end.
So can you tell me a little bit about your personal transition from inactive status to starting? I mean, what was that like for you personally, like mentally in your head?
Well, at first it wasn't like looking that good for me because Valiant was playing really well. Like Indy and Fate were doing really well together, so I was just thinking that I'd practice with Seb alone, and you know, we'd work on our tank duo, then be swapped out. But because of the roster switch, it kind of changed all of that. And like, I just made sure that mechanically I was warm. But I didn't expect to play with Fate at first. I thought it was just gonna be me and Seb. But like after that change, me and Fate came in, and it was a little rough at first, but I've gotten used to it, and I think me and Fate are on the road to being a really good tank duo. So
your arrival was highly anticipated by the rest of the league due to your excellent scrim performance. Was there any additional pressure to succeed because of this, and especially after seeing, you know, somebody in a similar situation with Sinatra hit the stage and you know, didn't quite meet expectation in those first couple games? Like, what was the pressure like on you to perform?
Well, I wanted to make sure that my teammates could trust that I'd perform, and that, you know, I wouldn't come in and be the problem of the team. So I wanted to make sure that I was ready myself mechanically, of course. So I put in a lot of extra work, you know, like the month before I had to play. I grinded a lot. I watched VODs, you know, I made sure that I was ready to play on the stage, whereas at the same time that my teammates were going to be ready for me to play. And I think the transition was really smooth, and we came out really strong. So I think like the expectations, it does put a lot of pressure on you, because you don't want to just come out and like just do nothing really. You want to make a name for yourself, so I think I've been doing pretty good at that.
So to take it way back to the beginning of the season, during Media Day, during the Valiant press conference, there was discussion about one of the concerns that have been happening in esports in general, and that's just with young players such as yourself, such as Agility, Sinatra, making sure that, you know, kids that are avoiding college or who are skipping college in order to pursue professional careers are taken care of. And Valiant was the only one to step up and say, we want to make that a priority. So with both you and Agilities on the team, I'm just curious what your experience has been like in that. Do you feel like those needs of development have been addressed outside of just the practice and stuff? And what's that experience been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, because I was benched for 3 months or 4 months, that was my time to kind of focus on getting in track of school, you know, making sure that, you know, when I come to play, that it would be much easier for me. Whereas Agilities finished high school, I'm pretty sure, and they did it online, like during Immortals. I think they supported him during that. So the Valiant is definitely there for me if I need them, like for school and stuff. But right now I've just been working on it with my mom, and you know, we're focused on either going to online school or getting a GED. But I think it is very important for, you know, like students or kids that are in high school or going to college have to finish school, because you know, if this ends at any random moment, your career, you know, you have to fall back on something. Has
your involvement with the Overwatch League and with professional esports kind of sparked any interest in certain advanced subjects, you know, either technology subjects, computer programming, communication, even for like a casting backup or something like that eventually? Yeah,
I've always been interested in computers, like even before I wanted to play professionally. You know, I was always like interested in working on something on a computer, so yeah, that has been there, but I don't know what specifically. So I'm still looking at that, but I do want to do work on a computer if I could.
For being so young, you have quite an extensive Overwatch career so far. I mean, with Arc 6 and Cloud9, I mean, you've played more than a lot of people your age, even other professionals. So do you have any words of advice for a lot of people around your age group who are looking to pursue this, and any words to the fans who have been with you throughout pre-Overwatch League days?
I think if you want to go pro, you just have to believe that, you know, you can do it. Because me personally, starting my career, I was playing on a 60 Hz monitor with like a 270 AMD graphics card. You know, like I used to play Zarya, and when I got full energy, my FPS would drop. So like I could barely play Zarya that well, but I still hit top 500 and I still kept playing even though I was in that situation. So I think like if you want to go pro, just know that you can do it, and even if anybody says no, you can't do it, you're not good enough, you'll never be good enough, just focus on your own thing and find like-minded players like yourself to go pro with you. I think that's the main thing you have to focus on. And to all my fans that have been there since the beginning, you know, I love them all and I support them all. You know, I've made a lot of fans from past teammates like Dante and XGC and Scott himself. So I think like that support has been really good for me, and it makes me motivated to get even better and just like show my appreciation to my fans.
Excellent. Space, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. Congratulations again, and good luck next week in the Battle for LA.
Thank you.
Hey guys, this is Adam from Akshon Esports. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And for future Overwatch League content, including interviews, highlights, and more, check out AkshonEsports.com.